Good evening, one and all. Welcome to WILIscredia. I come to you as always as Charles, otherwise known as Sipo. Today we're doing an early review for a movie that comes out to theaters August 23rd. The film is Strange Darling. Strange Darling stars Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner. The film is written and directed by JT Mollner. Love hurts. Nothing is what it seems when a twisted one-night stand spirals into a serial killer's vicious murder spree.
Are you a serial killer?
So if you're watching this, I'm hoping that you don't have much else to go on. This is a movie where it feels like the more you know about it, the less a good time you will have. As bizarre as that sounds, I would recommend not watching any of it. If you have interest, by all means, go into this as blind as possible. But I understand just being told, here, take 90 minutes and run is very hard for people. So if you do have issues with SA content, you may want to look into this a bit further. Strange Darling is told in a nonlinear fashion, and that is a benefit for the case of this movie because you need to be grabbed by something in this story, and I don't know if telling it start to finish would work in the same way that it did. I think it's a brilliant way to tell this story. I haven't tried to figure out in a linear fashion how it would play out, but I appreciate that. Without giving you much of anything about this movie, I will say that it certainly grabs your attention and you start doing a bit of detective work from the start. It's hard not to because it is a thriller and there is an element right off the bat that gets you wondering what's happening and how did things get out of hand. Again, in a nonlinear fashion, things happen in the beginning that actually happen in the end, and it's fun to see the movie unravel. And the fact that it's just a brilliant looking movie is quite rewarding. From a technical aspect, everything that goes into presenting the picture is phenomenal. Between the costume design, the shot selection, very wide angle lenses in this movie, a lot of use of color is quite pretty to look at and engage with. I might be a bit of a sucker when it comes to wide lenses, which in the beginning they do tell you that this film is shot in 35mm, which is a nice touch. I don't know if that would have made much of a difference to me, but it's nice to know. They told me, so I'm going to regurgitate. Again, the cinematography, the use of costumes, everything pops really well. I would go out on a limb and say that use of color is very deliberate. I'm not going to get into that because I feel like that would be spoiling things. As far as performances are concerned, both Willa Fitzgerald and Kyle Gallner put in superb performances, genuinely good stuff. It's really cool to see Kyle Gallner play all these different variations. You can't really say that he's typecast because he's constantly playing different types of people. And as far as Willa Fitzgerald is concerned, she does superb work, and you have yourself guessing certain things about both Willa and Kyle where you're not sure who to get behind, for lack of a better definition. Their back and forth it's sexy at times it's quite dramatic, at times it's quite tense. There's a bit of a give and take between the two actors, and I'm here for it. Without spoiling the movie, there is a bit of give and take. There's moments where I feel like we're having an unreliable narrator, and that may have something to do with the shuffled version of the storytelling. You're certainly intrigued as to what's happening, how we got to a certain position, then we go backwards, and you're trying to add the things up in your head. It's a bit of a game for people who like to solve things in their head, which it doesn't take anything away from the movie. It actually is quite an enjoyable ride or game. The story and the script are quite, I can say basic, but it won't mean the word basic. It's pretty cut and dry. And the more that you find out about what's happening in this story, the more the script and the performances really drive everything you're feeling. And again, with the cinematography, the visual storytelling is really, really top-notch. I think everything's working together. It's a very small story. It's quite contained, but it is gorgeous. Thematically speaking, there are things happening with color that if I end up doing a spoiler review for this video, I might discuss that further, but it's another element of visual storytelling where you're playing a bit of a game. A lot of shots are just bathed in color. I don't think it's too far a stretch to say that color certainly has a purpose in this movie, but when I can notice it, I feel like I've won something. my experience was a lot further than just the performances, the visuals. One of these movies where you can kind of watch it without sound on and still have an element of understanding what the visual element of storytelling is giving you. As far as pros and cons, the performances are great. The cinematography is brilliant. What we're looking at, the mise en scène, is quite awesome. My one complaint would be a bit of an uneven sound to the movie. By that, I mean sometimes the dialogue is a little low where the soundtrack is a little high. As far as whether or not I would recommend it, I would say yes. You'll know by the 30-minute mark if you're there for it. Even if it's down to just the technical aspects of the film, there's enough in this movie where you won't feel like you were ripped off or anything for watching it. And it's rewarding for paying attention and, again, playing the game that is solving this thing. It doesn't take anything away from the story. It's fun, and if you pay attention and keep your eye on certain elements of the visuals, I think it's fun. So I would recommend it, but I also would say not to look into anything regarding footage, trailers, even though I've probably put trailer footage in this review. If you can go into this movie knowing you're intrigued and not taking much of the synopsis, the story, the footage, absolutely. If you could be as blind to this situation as possible, it may be even more enjoyable. I feel like the more you know going into this, the less rewarding an experience it will be. If you've seen this movie, comment down below, let me know what you thought. You let me know, is there a way to traverse this topic without getting into spoilers? Other than commenting, hitting the thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, clicking subscribe for future content, and obviously a shout out to my patrons and channel members. I thank you for your continued support, and we'll see you next time. What did you think? Is it possible to hear a cover of Love Hurts and not think of the Rob Zombie Halloweens?